Hi, so this is going to be a quick little tutorial, instructional or informational video of the top 11 signs, symptoms, or experiences that are common when you are going through the awakening process. This is not an all-inclusive list. This is just a list through my experiences of others that I work with, and those who make up my soul tribe. So, like I said, this is not a list that includes every single symptom, but this is the top 11 that I have experienced personally, or seen others experience as they process this up-leveling of a sense. So number 11, you start seeing repeating numbers. This is also something that happens throughout the whole existence, right? This is not something that happens one time and it's like, oh, I'm awakening, and you don't see them anymore. You will see them throughout, and it really just depends on how often or the intensity of your up-leveling or what messages that need to be known. Like right now, I just looked at my clock and it says 1:11. So that's just confirmation for me that I'm doing the right thing. And that's basically what synchronicities are. Each number has a certain vibration or frequency. A lot of people will look it up to see, okay, what does 1212 mean? What does 33 mean? Really, I tell people when they read what it says, that's one thing, but note how you feel when you see it. Like the repeating number of 11. 1111 is often known as the awakening code. I tell people that when they see that, it's kind of a confirmation that you're up leveling, and be mindful of what you're thinking, because that's a time where whatever your thoughts are can really come into the 3D. A 3D, it's more about the third dimension, right? Where you see people, interact with people. You'll hear those phrases used a lot, 3D, 5D. And really for this level in this video, that just means 3D is what you can see, 5D is what you cannot. Now it gets really, really deeper than that, but that's another video for another time. So yeah, number 11, you start seeing repeating numbers and synchronicities. Number 10, things just don't add up anymore. What does that mean? So things that you have been taught growing up, things that you've been led to believe, programming that we've experienced as children going into our adulthood, things just don't add up. And you're starting to question why. And that's completely normal in this process. That is what gives you the drive and the initiative to seek out something more, because you know in your heart there's something more, right? There's just that calling that when you hear some information, it just doesn't seem right. It doesn't make sense. And then we're told not to question it. So yeah, things just don't add up anymore. Number 9. You start to lose interest in what is considered mainstream. Mainstream can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people. So it really just depends on what it means to you. But the interest that you might have had in the beginning, the interest that you might have had years back, you just don't have it anymore. And it's not necessarily something drastic that happens. You just gradually notice that your interest in whatever the talk around the water cooler is at work, you just don't have the desire to be a part of that. Number 8, your eating habits start to change. What does that look like? That can be anything from wanting to become a vegetarian, a vegan, wanting to stop eating processed foods, wanting to order. It could be a series of different things on changing your eating habits. Some people even want to start growing their own foods. So you'll start to notice that your eating habits start to change. Again, it doesn't have to be something drastic, like you wake up one morning and I'm never eating meat again. it's more gradual. You start to see that maybe there's less of processed foods, snacks, sugary objects in your refrigerator. You're starting to see that you have increased your water intake. So it's subtle, but it's definitely noticeable. Number 7, your looks start to change. And this could piggyback on what we just spoke about in number 8, but your looks start to change. It could be that your skin starts to clear up, you start to lose weight, you start to put weight on, depending on what's part of the spectrum you're on. Your muscle tone changes, you have more energy, your hair might be shinier, or you might do something drastic with your hair. Whatever it is, it's more coming in line with who you are vibrationally. So yes, your looks might start to change. Number 6, and this is an interesting one. You stop watching television. And I'm not saying, YouTube, because there's a lot of information people come to YouTube for and stuff that you seek out on TV. But I'm talking about just sitting in front of the television and just listening and watching whatever comes on the screen, or, what's the biggest new show that's coming on. There just isn't that drive that was there before. Now, there might be some people listening that said, I really wasn't ever big into TV. I don't even have a TV in my home. Then this change wouldn't be something that you would note. This is a change for individuals who might have had their favorite TV show that they watched, might have waited for premieres every season. I'm talking about these individuals where it's a definite change of, I was in front of the television prime time every weekday to I don't watch it at all. I don't even have a cable subscription anymore. So that's the change I'm talking about. Number 5, you might have high-pitched ringing in your ear. Now, I'm not talking about the medical condition that's brought on by disease or injury, but I'm talking about short, high-pitched ringing that comes in. You'll notice it for about a minute or two, and then it fades out. So this is frequency. You're picking up on frequencies. A lot of individuals will also call this a download, where your frequency is being adjusted, or you're getting information to assist you with whatever it is you're talking about, or it could also be confirmation of a sense. So when you get a download, consciously you won't be, it's not like you're hearing words or something in the frequency. You just hear this high-pitched ringing. And you can kind of like it to when you go into a room where there's a lot of electronics, or when you go into a house where nothing's on and somebody turns on a TV or a radio and you can hear that frequency change. That's exactly what's happening. You're picking up of a frequency change, and it's specific to you. So that's why a lot of people will refer to it as a download. When it happens for a few minutes and then it passes. But that's just something that you'll start to notice happens more frequently when you're going through this awakening process. Number 4, you will start to have vivid dreams or just have a sense of knowing. So in dream state, which we will also refer to as astral travel a lot, you will be in dreams with individuals that you've never met. You will be doing things, figuring things out, going places that you have never been, and then you'll be able to wake up and in detail describe it. And I always tell individuals, there's some people whose talent or gift is dreaming. That is not mine, but I do have this experience sometimes. And just write it down. Keep a journal around you at all times when you're going through this, so you'll be able to take notes, because it might not happen the same way again. And then that sense of knowing. You don't know why you have this information or feel a certain way. You just do. You can't explain it. You just know. So those things, dreaming and knowing, a sense of knowing, are things that will happen when you're going through this awakening process. Number 3, relationships change. So with relationships changing, that could be a sense of anything. People coming in and people going out. This is something where when somebody is not on your frequency level, you just can't, you don't vibe, right? That's the term that we use a lot too. You're not on the same vibrational level. So it's kind of having the ability to see all the colors of the spectrum. The colors of the spectrum are in very specific frequency levels in a range. And outside of that range, we cannot see below it or above it. And that's the same thing with when we vibrate, because we're all energy and we get to higher frequencies. People who are not at our level will tend to kind of dissolve, not dissolve literally, but just not be a major part in our life as they were before. And people who you do vibe with, who are at your frequency range, will start to come in, and relationships will be built that way as you all increase your knowledge base. So relationships will very well change. It's also a time where divorces happen. It's a time where childhood friends, where you thought you were going to be friends forever, that relationship just ends. So could be a lot of turmoil, and it could be tumultuous during this time. But this is just another sign of your increasing of vibration and awakening. Number 2, you start to develop interest in things that have been identified as mystic practices, the occult, or just woo-woo. So what that means is you might have grown up in a home where yoga and meditation were a bad thing. Tarot cards, psychics, clairvoyance are fake and frauds. But now you're realizing that's not the case. Everything is energy, and everything that you do impacts that energy frequency and signature, and these are no different. They're just tools, right? So you'll start to develop an interest, and you might even pick up some of these practices on your own, all normal as you go through this awakening process. And the number 1 reason or sign or symptom that you'll experience when you're going through this awakening process is where you're at right now. You search for information. You have a thirst for information. You've awakened to a different world, basically, the world that's unseen, and you want to know more. And that's most likely why you're listening to this video. You want to know what's next. You want to know what to expect. You want to know what your gifts and talents are. Who's your soul tribe? What can you do? What can you expect? What is the 5D? All of these start to swirl around in your head, and you just go out there and you seek this information. So there will be people along the way to show you the way, to guide you the way, to give you information, because that's how the universe works. When the student is ready, the teacher will appear. You want to be able to be open to the knowledge that comes to you, because sometimes you will feel like you're going crazy. I've had many days where I'm like, yeah, I need to check myself in someplace. It's not an easy experience for most people, but it's so rewarding once you're able to assist others who are starting down the same journey in the same path. So that's the top 11 signs, symptoms, possible things that might occur when you're going through the awakening process. I do suggest 2 things to make it a tad bit easier. You want to pull your natal chart. This is going to be a quick way to kind of allow you to see how you interact with the world, how the world interacts with you, who you are when you're by yourself, and kind of what your soul's compass or path is. You want to look at the North Node particularly, because that's going to allow you to see what things you're focusing on within this incarnation. And then the second thing is find your soul tribe. You definitely want to see or meet individuals who are at your frequency level, who you can speak to without feeling judged, and can provide you support as you go through this. Because again, sometimes when you have to look at some of your shadow elements as you're going through this process, it might not be the easiest process. So finding your soul tribe is important. And if you go to my website, www.tealgypsymoon.com, there is a section to have you sign up and allow you to kind of connect with others who are going through that same process. So hopefully this 11 list was helpful. No, you're not going crazy. Yes, there's tons of people going through the same thing you're going through, and we're all here on one mission, and that's to increase the consciousness of this planet. So thanks again, and for more information and resources, check out the website, www.tealgypsymoon.com. All right, guys. Bye.